So I've spoken to quite a lot of people recently that have all said the same thing and have all been single and feeling alone during a journey of the dark night of the soul. And as I was trying to say to them that being alone and being single during the dark night of the soul is actually a blessing and not a punishment, it's hard to grasp that concept at first, but some of you might find this a little bit harsh. However, much like those guys did, once they grasped the idea of it, they could actually see the benefit. So stick around, because I'm going to try and make sense of a topic that's probably sensitive to a lot of you if you are single and you are feeling alone. I have done previous videos on loneliness and stuff like that, and I will continue to do more of them because it's such a big, wide, varied topic. But this one is predominantly aimed at those who are single, feeling alone, and why maybe they should try and look at that like it's a blessing. And obviously with my videos, guys, there's always going to be the odd digression off and go around the houses, so let's see what happens with this one. But stick around, because I think you'll find this fun. And I've even removed my hat so you guys can see how important this video is. So if you're alone right now, or if you're single right now, none of the most important things you could do, which you probably don't feel like doing, is actually saying good for you. Is that you should be happy with how you're feeling right now, because you are literally on your own, because you have been thrust into the dark night of the soul. And the only reason you've been thrust into dark night of the soul is because you've spent a life living an act that you have constructed based off of other people's opinions, and you formed an act in order to fit in and never be judged, and to never stand out, and to never look like you're failing in life. You constantly put up an affront to the world of pretending to be someone that you're not. And because of that, your mind is split. You've ended up in the dark night of the soul. And for those of you that are alone in the dark night of the soul, you should be happy with that. You should be pleased with that, because it's giving you the opportunity and the space that you need to grow. I'm just going to put my hat on because my head's burning. It's given you the opportunity that you need to grow. It's given you the space. It's given you the quiet. Your consciousness is there for you to tap into, whatever you want to call that: consciousness, awareness, spaciousness, stillness, God, love, whatever you want to call it. It's there for you. It's that thing in you that is making you stay lonely. If you're thinking to yourself, I'm never going to find another partner, I'm always going to be on my own, who would actually connect with me now because I'm such a weirdo? All my habits have changed, everything about me has changed, who would be with me now? If you're thinking that right now about yourself, that's because you are meant to stay on your own for now. Because the only thing that you actually need to find a connection with is yourself. And if you're trying to find a connection via an external source, it's never going to happen. And if it does happen with someone, if you find someone or something that you feel a connection with on the outside, but you haven't yet connected with yourself, that thing is superficial, and it's only affecting a surface. It's only affecting the act that you've always been. It will only affect the act that you've always been, but you might not see it because it would offer you temporary relief. But ultimately you would end up in the same cycle that you've probably spent most of your life in. A cycle of get some relief and then it turns into hurt. Get some relief and then it turns into hurt. Get some relief and then it turns into hurt. Or to that effect, that kind of cycle. And if I sound a little bit passionate today, guys, it's because I am. It's because I am. Things have happened to me over the last few days, talking to people and seeing their pain and feeling their pain that they're in. And this is a side of me that I've never actually let out the bag before. But I met one of my subscribers the other day, and we was having a long conversation, and she was saying to me that it would be nice for me to open up a little bit more about how it actually feels when I'm in that conscious state, if you like. I'm like, well, I'm always in it. But I haven't been wanting to talk about that so much, because I'm aware there's a lot of people there that aren't in a great place. And I kind of don't ever want to come across as the guy that's pretending that everything in life is really great and wonderful and you should all be happy and embracing your spirituality. No, spirituality can be quite crappy at times when you're learning it, when you're aware that you're becoming spiritual and there's bigger things for you. You have this withdrawal separation from the old self and going into the new self. And it's whilst you're in that process that your mind is being pulled backwards and forwards to your old beliefs and to what you think that you're seeing in the future. And once all this comes to light and it then unravels, you then kind of reach this point of, oh, okay, now I see everything clearly. And even then, guys, once you kind of get there and you see everything clearly, even then it can become a little bit confusing again, because you see things clearly and you're like, oh, okay, I see that clearly, so what do I do with that then? So there it starts again. But this time round, when you get to that confusion point, you know that everything's okay, because the egoic mind is less and less and less of a pull. But I've digressed off topic there a little bit. But I was saying, I'm talking to people and they wanted me to open up a little bit more about, you know, about how I feel, how I deal with stuff. And I'm kind of like being a bit reluctant to do that, but I will try and start opening up a little bit more about me and about how I feel when I am in that conscious state. And even now, when I'm kind of talking here with this passion kind of comes up from a hurt, from seeing people around me everywhere that I love. And when I say people that I love, guys, I mean everyone. This is the wonderful thing with spirituality. This is the God, this is the consciousness, this is the love that they talk about, the oneness that you feel with people. There is no divide in my eyes as I look at people. There is no divide. But yet I'm constantly looked at by people like I'm weird. And this is another thing that you're going to have to accept, that once you go through, that's going to become normal. You are going to be looked at like you're weird. So you need to stay in the dark night of the soul. That's why you're being kept in there on your own. You need to stay in that dark night of the soul, because you'll be prepared for all these things that are about to come. So it gives you the kind of strength. You'll find that inner beauty before those things come on you. Because if you find the inner beauty before those things come on you, you hear that, bird? Before those things come on you, then you can handle it. And you can kind of lead and set the example of what it's like to be spiritual and not pay attention. These things that I'm telling you now, guys, are not things that you have to physically do. They just happen. But you will stop paying attention to them. You will stop listening to their crazy beliefs that have been put in them. And there's all people here that can hear me talking away now as it's irrelevant. Hopefully some of them get something from it. Maybe some of them are in the dark night of the soul and they want to listen, come over and have a chat in a minute. But the point I'm trying to make, guys, jokes aside, is that feeling inside, that consciousness feeling that comes up, that is what sometimes in me can create this passion, because I can feel everyone else's hurt. But if I say that, I now, it's my egoic side coming in, just so you can spot an ego when it happens, but I know it's coming, so I'm going to use it. There's that part of me now that says, I hope I don't sound like I think I'm something special, because I'm saying I feel everyone's pain. I hope I don't sound like a victim and like this is some whinge. There's the ego coming in. But I'm sharing that ego. Like, normally I just take a deep breath and that ego will disappear. It's irrelevant what people think. However, for the sake of the video, I'm sharing that ego as I can feel it arising. So the point I'm trying to make is those things will be felt by all of you. And we have to get used to that judgment. You have to kind of accept that people are going to judge. And if you're single at the moment, and if you're alone and you're spending lots of time alone, that's because that's where you need to be. And oh, sorry, I haven't said. The reason I'm talking about the single and the aloneness is because that's what about, I'd say 8 or 9 people recently have said to me. It's the being alone part that's slaughtering them. And I'm like, it's the being alone part that you should be grateful for. Because can you actually imagine feeling how you feel and having a partner who maybe you're falling out of love with, and you've got children there that you've got to cater for, but you've seen the act you've always been doing and you're going through all this turmoil and you've got that. If you are one of those guys, by the way, I'm going to do a separate video for you guys that are in relationships, because I was in that relationship and mine fell apart. And so to the guys that are single now, this is what I'm saying, be grateful for that. I know that sounds hard, but you're going to have to try and think, oh, it's your prime opportunity to absorb in yourself, to get to know your inner self. There's no outside distractions. You can be doing what you want to do. Life is really simple, you know, like we don't all see that. We don't all see that in the beginning. when we're in the matrix and we're doing whatever everyone tells us to do. We don't see that. It's when you come out the other side and you sit now, you see how simple life actually is. But the constructed life that we've had installed in us, and what I mean by having installed in us is all the beliefs and all that rubbish, that's installed in us our fake identity that we created. We created the fake identity to deal with the constructed self of ticking the box of the good human book. That's how deep the fake self is. That's why we need to get to know the I am, the consciousness, our true self, your true essence. And I think this channel actually is going to start going a slightly different route. I might start, sometimes I keep, normally guys, when I'm feeling this kind of, these feelings come up in me, this passion, this kind of little bit of, what's the word, angst maybe, but protective, I just go for a little slow walk and it literally lifts. It's the beauty of consciousness. It will literally lift the, or I'm not even really aware of it, but it just kind of not there. But when I stop and when I want to think about these things and I want to think about what people have said to me, what their hurts are, what their traumas are, what their problems are in life, when I've heard that and I can see what's holding them back, I can see what's hurting them so clearly, but trying to talk to them about it and I know they can't see what I'm saying, it resonates a little bit, but can't always see it. But knowing that one day they will. Which is why I keep on doing the videos, which is why I keep on talking to people. But when these little bits of passion come up, I think I might air them out. If you guys would like that, let me know in the comments, please, guys. And by the way, if you're enjoying this and if you watch the channel, please hit like, please hit subscribe, and please hit the bell, because I do need this channel to grow. I need this channel to grow as much as I need to grow in myself into the position that I'm kind of putting myself in, which is the guy that does YouTube videos about spirituality and Dark Night of the Soul. But I want to start speaking a bit more of the truth about the system and how that crushes all of us from when we're born. I think more and more and more people who maybe have that ability, and what I mean by ability, guys, it's not necessarily the vocabulary ability or the, you know, I think we all know that I struggle as the thick child a little bit, and this, but someone who's got the courage to say what it is that needs to be said. We need more people like that can say that. And I'm ready to jump into that realm. Well, I'm already in it, but I want it to get bigger because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling. There's a lot of people out there that are suffering, and they don't need to be, because the whole thing, everything we do is looked at in reverse. For example, that singleness, the alone part. If we're single and alone, we can, if you look very carefully deep down underneath it, we can walk around with this feeling almost of being a victim, like, I'm on my own. It's just me and the world. I'll find myself one day. If we're going like that, that's how I was. So it's not a criticism. It's how I was when I was there. And then when I noticed that, then you're like, oh yeah, let's breathe into that, meditate on that, become still, understand and learn the feelings. Then you start realizing, oh, actually, being alone ain't too bad. But that's what I'm saying. But if you're feeling that kind of thing, then what am I saying here? I've lost track of what I was saying. If you're feeling that kind of feeling under there, that's what's holding you back. Can you see that? Can you see that? That the feelings of, you know, it's just me in the world. I'll be all right though. I'll find myself one day. Those, not the fault necessarily, that it might come out of you in a different way, but the feeling that's creating those thoughts. It's that feeling that's keeping you in that place of darkness, if you like, because you won't accept that you're alone. There's a clinging on to the negativity of being alone instead of embracing the positivity of being alone. That you're in this, to be in the dark night of the soul, guys, to have that, I really want to swear, to have that egoic side of you taken out, being separated, being born into your true self. For the sake of the video, I could say being born into your new self, but it's not. It's being born into your old self that you never met. It's there that you find I'm losing the words, the kingdom of heaven. You know, I think a lot of us, I'm not a religious guy, as you know, but for some reason, we all kind of look up and think that the kingdom of heaven is up there. Or no, it's within. It's where it is, the peace, the light, the joy, the essence, the consciousness, the oneness, that's when you start feeling love for the world and feeling love for other people. And then that's also when you might become lonely, when you start feeling that because you're aware of other people. When you start saying that stuff to people, like maybe on this video now, when you start saying that to people, they look at you like you're weird, like you're losing the plot. You're like, no, that's just how it is. There shouldn't be no separation between us. And if we take the egos away out of every person on earth, there'd be no problems. We would just all be getting on, and we'd all find beauty in each other's differences. Different skin colours, different sizes, different shapes, male, female, whatever. We would see the beauty in the differences. One of my favourite analogies I like doing is always with dogs, as you know, but you don't get a big dog that walks past a little dog and kind of looks down its nose at that little dog, like it's inferior because it couldn't fight or it couldn't run as fast as the big dog. And the little dog's not looking up at the big dog thinking, oh, you're so much bigger than me, you're lucky you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth because you're so big. They're not doing that. They just sniff each other's bum and get along. No, I'm not saying we should sniff each other's bum, but you know. I don't know. Anyway, guys, you know, I'm in a very reflective mode. Let me just throw this into you. Always with consciousness, there's always this underlying feeling of everything's okay, but that doesn't stop thoughts and feelings and emotions coming in. But now they do this in me, and it's not a big deal, and then they kind of flow away, and they don't do anything. That's the beauty of spirituality. Now, I'm blessed because my spiritual awakening happened to me, and then I spent the next 3 years in extreme pain or whatever else it was, and then unraveling all of this stuff. And then, so what I'm trying to say, I'm blessed that I kind of found that. I'm blessed that I kind of found that. Even though everything in my life has totally changed, everything's gone, everything's totally different. Yesterday I lost my, you know, the silver flash that takes me around the UK to go and see the mountains and stuff like that. She won't pass. I call her she. She doesn't pass. She didn't pass her MOT. So for you guys abroad, an MOT is a minimum vehicle check that if you don't pass and you can't get it repaired to that standard, the car has to be scrapped. And I don't want to scrap her. She's what I had my spiritual awakening in that moment. I spent many vulnerable moments in her. Vulnerable, guys, as in I didn't know if I was going to be here the next day at times, and that van, to me, that being in the back of that was my little space at that point. And she was so reliable at that point, and she took me around the country, and I would talk to her as I would drive around when there was no one else to talk to. I would talk to my van, you know, and I'd tell her I love her and stuff, because there was love coming out of me as much as the hurt that was still in me, and that was coming out of me. It was a big confusing time. So it's very sad that that has to disappear. It's very sad that that has to disappear. So that's created a little part of me that is, that just feels a little bit sad, and that's fine though. But it's not a sadness. It's just a little bit, you know, it's a shame that kind of thing has to happen. But anyway, it probably sounds crazy, that part about the van. Is what it is. It is what it is. We all get attached and we all love things. And the whole, I guess another point there I could say is we all feel down about things at times, and feeling down is okay. We just have to know that. Feeling angry is okay. We just have to know that. In order for us to think, in order for us to actually get down and depressed, we have to first think that there's something wrong with being down and depressed. Because if we didn't think there was anything wrong with being down and depressed, when we find ourselves down and depressed, we wouldn't get depressed. I think that made sense. Anyway, I'm going. It's a lovely day out here in nature. Let's show you around a little bit. There's a little canteen down there that I go and grab a little coffee at. That guy there is probably listening to me and wondering, what's he talking about? But who cares? Who cares? Live your life, not theirs. That's what I say all over my Instagram. Live your life, not theirs. Your life should be lived however you want to truly live that life. Don't be scared of other people's opinions. Don't be scared of other people's judgments. That is the sole thing that is keeping you back from being the person that you could ultimately be. Anyway, guys, I love every one of you. Like I say, the channel might start going to other areas and a bit more like this. If some of you like this, awesome. Please let me know in the comments. I'd appreciate it. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and hit the bell thing. I've heard that that really helps the algorithm. I'd really want this channel to grow, and so I could do with your help if you're enjoying the content, guys. Anyway, I love every one of you. Take care. Peace.